All right, so someone has asked me, how do you get to work on TV? How do you get to work on movies? This was something that I did back when I was living in LA, and I had my roommates kind of turned me on to it because they were working on some shows like Roswell, and I'm trying to remember what else, the movies, the American Pie movies. They were working on stuff like that. And so I wanted to get into that kind of stuff. I had a passion for doing that kind of work, even if it wasn't something big. At least being around that atmosphere was something that I enjoyed doing. So I had the opportunity to do that, and basically, and I'll kind of give you kind of some steps on what I did. Now this it's 10 years now. I have no idea. It's been over 10 years since I worked over there. I don't know if the system is still the same as what it was when I was living in LA. But basically, essentially, you go to this company called Central Casting. Look them up. I'm sure it is very easy to find them. Look for Central Casting. I know they have their own website, but you show up there, and back then you paid $10. They took a photo of you, and then they had this kind of rap sheet of all the stuff that you can do. What are your talents? What outfits do you have at home that you could use for sets if necessary? And then basically at that point, it becomes really on you as the person that wants to work on TV shows and movies. The job really starts to rely on your ability to network and get the jobs done. Now, once you're in the Central Casting system, there are some opportunities where they might call you to do work, but it's very rare, maybe once a month at the most, that they might call you. What happens is there's a call line, at least there was back then, and you would call this work line. And they would have casting agents that would sit there and say, okay, my name is such and such, my extension is this number, I'm looking for someone with blonde hair, blue eyes, glasses, that's 5'10", and has clown shoes. I mean, something stupid, something off the wall. And they'll say it's for, such and such TV show, like ER or something. And we need them there from this date to this date. And if you're interested, please call such and such extension. Now, here's the thing. Everybody is listening in to this at the same time. So the hard part is that you're battling, trying to get through the line just like everybody else. So how much stick-to-itiveness is really going to be key. How much longevity do you have to sit there and call over and over and over again? It's like trying to call a radio station to win a prize, to an extent. Now, they're going to have, a lot of times these shows are going to have multiple casting openings for you to be able to get in on, but you still want to get in as quick as you can. Now, what some people would do is once you started getting into the system where you're working with people on sets, when somebody on the set got through on a line for whatever show, and you were around guys like that, then if somebody got through on the line, then they would just start saying, well, I got some other people here that are interested in doing that as well. And then they would look up their information in the system. And so that's basically what they'd do, is they'd say, what is your social or something like that. They type it in their computer. They'd pull up your little rap sheet of all your information, and then they'd say, okay, yeah, you'll be good for this, and we got you booked for such and such a date, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the key thing is, in this industry, you have to be prompt. You need to be on time. You have to be. You can't ever waver with your timeliness, and you can't ever say you're going to show up for a job and then not show up, because in the entertainment industry, you may have heard of blacklists. Well, this is how you can get blacklisted in the industry. Let's say you miss a job. You don't show up, and they call you and like, hey, you missed your job. Now what they got to do is they got to go onto the work lines and sit there and try to rush somebody out there as fast as possible. Okay, so now they're hurrying things to try to get an extra person, and it all fell on you because you didn't do it. So that's one strike against you. Now, from what I personally never ended up in a situation where I wasn't where I was supposed to be there. I always was at every job that I was going to be at. I was always there prompt, early, if it was a place that I didn't know a lot about how far I was going to be driving or where I was going, I'd make sure I was extra early to get there on time. And but for what the rumor was back then was once you got 3 strikes, then you were out. You were blacklisted from Central Casting. You were blacklisted, and Central Casting at that time was like the biggest casting agency there that I knew of. Basically, nobody else was going to hire you as a background extra. And so that's what I'm going to instill with you guys if you're interested in working as a background extra on TV shows and movies and get your foot in the door that way, which I strongly recommend. I think it's a great tool, especially if you have the ability to live in LA and you're living with family members and you're not actually having to push out a lot of money in rent and stuff like that, because that's probably one of the biggest hardships living in LA is the financial aspect of being able to stay there and be able to do this at the same time, because there's so much unreliable work. You don't know when you're going to be able to get work to get money. So so that's really it. Strongly recommended if you guys get a chance and you live in LA and you want to work in TV and movies, check out Central Casting. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And hope you guys get on some TVs and movies. Let me know if it works out for you, if you're able to figure it out. And thank you very much for watching my page.